Welcome back, welcome back. And today I'm going to show you a different kind of C13 team. It's not one shot, it's just quote-unquote speed farming. Let's first talk about how can it fail. It can actually fail if the boss decides to immediately stun my Iseria, because I don't have immunity on her. And you see that she is in the spot of the imprint from Sinji, because I didn't get her to do enough damage. So like if she misses the target debuff on the first wave, that she can do enough damage together with my Wschuri as long as any debuff lands. So it would be better if she had immunity. Besides that, she could get unlucky, like if the boss decides to crit on her and, well, target her down. Like crit, then the counter followed by a crit, and then the boss wave also decides that everyone attacks her. For that, she's too squishy. But I would say that would happen quite rarely. Yeah, like I said, it's not a one-shot team. Well, you can make it a one-shot team if you get more damage on your Straze and Wschuri. And also you could go with much less gear quality on Iseria if Wschuri had better gear. But let's talk about that later. The good thing about this kind of team, just because Iseria goes after the boss, so that all debuffs are applied before she gets the first turn, dual strike lose chance is actually reduced in this one, because it can't happen on the first wave, and well, it can still happen on the second wave, but hopefully most of the time you already have restrict by then, so that you are not getting pushed, or like your Straze is not pushing himself. The good thing about this team too, just because of the fact that you have Sinji in there and, well, a speed buff, you have a good chance of saving the run even though you would have not procced any of the debuffs. So like, just in case you missed every debuff and your damage output was very low, there is still a chance that Iseria with her next turn gives defense break target, or at least defense break. So Sinji's dual strike with Straze and Straze's S1 after that can still do a ton of damage and save the run. Also, like, Schuri is also getting another turn, and since in my case Iseria has good DPS build, she still provides a little bit to that too. So let's take a look at the units. At first, Wschuri, of course, immunity. At least like 135, 136 speed. 136 would actually be safer, because last hunt event, within all my runs, I have actually seen one time where 135 wasn't enough. So it probably was the worst case of getting no push and the first wave boss getting max push. So yep, probably 136 is actually a better way. More damage on Wschuri would make it easier, because you could run less damage stats on your Iseria. In my case, I wanted to do enough damage with Wschuri and Iseria to deal with the first wave if I don't get the target debuff. So that's Iseria, like I said. In combination with my Wschuri, I wanted them to do enough damage to delete the first wave, with Iseria missing the target debuff to get at least rid of one RNG part. I mean, there's still the worst case scenario. Iseria misses all three debuffs and then you still lose. So don't forget about that. Otherwise, if you are always expecting your Wschuri to attack on target, or you have more damage on your Wschuri, you don't need these damage stats, because then on stats like mine, he would do enough damage alone. You want immunity, because if the first wave boss decides to instant hit and stun her, you are basically doomed. Besides that, you could also run her on a fast setup like Elfeld, 275 to 280 or faster on immunity and tanky, so that you can basically ensure yourself to have target debuff, that you don't need to have damage stats on her. Straze. The problem with my Straze, like I said something about dual strike not being a big problem. Well, theoretically, if he gets a dual strike with Iseria, despite being restricted, I have too low crit rate for that. Because he would only get the Hellcutter stack from, I think he only gets 2 because of Sinji and Wschuri. Please correct me if he also gets the Hellcutter stack from the turn with Iseria. But let's expect we don't get it, so he would only get 2 stacks. He would be missing 6 crit rate to always ensure the crit. So at least having him on 77 crit, unless the dual strike turn also counts, then it's 73 to ensure your crit after that. Angelica, Warhorn and 200 resistance so that she's not getting the restrict debuff, and would always activate her Warhorn on the boss's turn. You have to keep in mind, with the Warhorn push, she has to be slower than Iseria with slow debuff, because you don't want her to go before Iseria so that RNG goes the way that Iseria starts to reset Sinji. But you also don't want her to be slower than Wschuri and the push, so you have to find a balance in there. But I think 116 in my case there is a good spot. For me it didn't happen that even if Wschuri resisted the slow debuff, he didn't go before my Sinji. So yeah, hopefully I could have helped you find maybe a new kind of an idea for a team. And yeah, see ya, have a good one.